Cold open question of the week, Kaz.
What's up, Shoes?
Who is the greatest WWE transitional champion of all time? I will give you Sami Zayn. Okay. I will give you the Iron Sheik. Stan Stasiak. Ivan Koloff.
Stasiak? Oh, yeah.
Not Sean Stasiak.
I thought of Sean Stasiak. I was like,
no,
that must have been a real transition.
Stan Bridge between Pedro and Bruno, and then Ivan Koloff. I think prior to that, Ivan Koloff transitioned between Bruno and Pedro. Right? They had to then they put the title back on Bruno. Stan Stasiak was the transition in that case. Edge, I will give you.
Wow.
The Miz. He had this is not his only reign, but this is the reign in which he transitioned from what is in 21, but from Drew to Bobby Lashley.
Mm-hmm.
And Mankind. A lot of people don't recall that his triumphant Monday Night Wars shifting win was basically a transitional champion position.
Yo, I'll also raise you.
Okay, go.
Kane.
Okay.
Kane was the masked Kane the first time he won it. And then he lost it like a week later to Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh, yeah. Does The Undertaker count as a transitional champion because he transitioned it off Hogan and back onto Hogan in the span of like 6 days? Is that?
It's a possibility. It's a possibility. I always got a soft spot in my heart for 2 transitional champions, Mick Foley and David Arquette. All right.
Okay.
Like Mick Foley for one, obviously. For all the great reasons why transitional champions are awesome, and why sometimes you just got to do the cool thing for one night just because it's the cool thing for one night.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and sometimes that moment just makes it all worth it. And then you got David Arquette, who his transitional championship literally destroyed an entire company. So
yeah, I will give.
There's always 2 ways to go with these things.
I take exception to both of those only because I don't think no. I mean, your answer is not wrong, but I think of all the people listening to this, I would say the majority would not think of either of those guys as transitional champions, even though they were definitionally that, right? So I don't know if that helps the case or hurts the case. It's an interesting conversation. Also, does the transition have to be necessary, or is it just a short reign with different people on either side of it?
You know,
like the Stan Stasiak, Ivan Koloff, Iron Sheik, it was very clear. We cannot have baby faces fighting each other, and so we need a heel in between to transition from one to the other. That is the origin of a transitional champion. Now, in the case of Sami Zayn, there might be a lot more thinking behind it, but just at a very basic level, it's not that we can't have Punk and Cena fight each other. It's that we're saving that. I mean, Punk and Cody fight each other. We're saving it. We're back pocketing it. We don't want to give that away, and so we'll let Sammy be the conduit. Right? You know what I mean?
Well, that's why Mick Foley's. I gotta give it to Mick, because Mick was the transition back to Rock versus Austin again for the title. And also it turned The Rock into like a serious savage for that I Quit match where he gets he gets the tar beat out of him. It's on Beyond the Mat. It's like this legendary match that really helped make The Rock. So, I mean, you kind of gotta. Transition is in the eye of the beholder, I guess, right? Like it's
and I do feel like there's a separate category for the shotgunning thing, which is I feel like what Sami Zayn is when they put a title. It's like Punk. If Punk loses at SummerSlam, is he a transitional champion? Well, no, that's more of like a shotgun champion. It's like we need a title, we need the belt in this match. Right?
Well,
so we're going to do a quick switch.
I would say Drew then. Drew was probably the most recent shotgun champion. Or just all right.
Well, like The Rock before X7, right? Like he got that win. Who did he beat? He had the title for like 15 minutes before he lost it to Stone Cold, right? I mean, it's like, no, we just wanted the title in this match. And that's why we're doing this thing. It's a complicated history. But I will say, praise the Lord. Not praise the Lord. Praise be and thank the Lord for all of these great transitional champs. Our industry would not be the same without them. Let's start the show. Welcome to the Masked Man Show with Kaz. We got a whole lot to talk about. It's been a while since we've been here. I'm moving. You're always busy. And Producer Bruce just like gave us the rundown. It has 5 million things on it, and I said to him, I feel like we're just going to be talking about Punk and Sami and Sheamus today. Like, I don't know what else there is to talk about. So, in the interest of continuity, we talked about the transitional champs in the opening segment. Sami Zayn is a transitional champion. Maybe your transitional champion. Although Mick Foley, I guess, is on top of the mountain right now. But I mean, listen. When Sami Zayn won the title at Night of Champions, his post-match promo sounded a whole lot like a guy who knew he wasn't going to have it for long. Hindsight's 2020. What is your feeling about this? I saw a whole lot of "this is bullshit" floating around the internet after CM Punk won last night in Chicago. But it did, to me, maybe I'm just jaded. It felt very functional to me. Like, I wasn't shocked by it. I wasn't offended by it. It was like being offended that the fucking mail showed up. You know, it was just like, this is what we've, you know, this is the business. Like, whatever. Like, how mad are you going to be? And honestly, to me, Sami Zayn comes out a net, like he's net positive from this. I don't know. What's your take on the Sami of it all?
You probably won't find a bigger CM Punk fan than me. I love CM Punk. He is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. He's a big reason why I got back really into wrestling as much as I did as a young adult. He's sort of has this way to sort of just always kind of like speak to things I generally agree with. Like, he's just a guy that I'm a huge fan of. And even last night, I was still kind of like, did we have to do it this way? You could have bet me $1 million that Sami Zayn, if there's anybody who's going to hold the title for the absolute shortest time, if you gave me enough guesses, I probably would have got to Sami Zayn pretty quickly. So I agree with your sense of like, it was kind of formulaic and it was kind of the way it needed to be done. But it didn't mean I had to enjoy it that much, right? Like, the match itself was incredible. I think Punk and Sami have like an insane chemistry together.
And crazily enough, they have not spent that much time in the ring together.
No.
Like, you would think there would be
Netflix
500.
Match,
yeah.
I think it was the season finale Netflix match, season premiere Netflix match last year. And then last night, it's like, damn, they kind of got 2 classics under their belt, like, already.
Well, and you would assume also that there'd be just a trove of CM Punk El Generico matches floating around the internet. They were in the ring a lot, in like Cage Match, will tell you. Like, they did some matches together, but there's nothing. There's nothing.
Yeah. So it's great to watch them wrestle. It's nuts to say, like, one day you're going to be complaining about a CM Punk El Generico WWE Championship match that main events Monday Night Raw. One day you're going to complain about it, and you're going to sound stupid by doing it. So that being said, I think just because I'm such a big fan of Sami, and I feel like he could have done a lot with the championship, at least until SummerSlam. I felt like Punk didn't have to win it there, but it's Sami. Like I said, if you would have told me to guess how many people would have a short title reign, that's a main event guy right now, it would make sense for it to have a short title reign, it would have been Sami. So I can't be too mad at it, but it gave us a great match. It got us another great Chicago moment with Punk.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it felt so projected that it was hard for me to be like, wow, what a moment.
This is, we have the Ludwig Kaiser All-Stars. It's the award we give out every time we do WrestleMania or whatever and do a bunch of interviews, and it's the person who's just the best hang, right?
Yep.
Punk and Sami are in a league of their own. I don't know if this category needs a name, of the people that sit down and you're just like 2 minutes in, you're like, this is like, do you just want to go get dinner? Like, I'm so interested right now. Not like they're the best people in the world. Like, I want to be my best friend. It's just like, I just want to have this conversation for like a day and a half, right?
Yeah, there's so much to talk to with those guys when we get to sit down with them.
Yeah, and maybe they're going to be my best friend. I don't know. I mean, but that's not the category we're dealing with right here. I agree. I mean, you'll never find a bigger Sami fan than me, and I think going off the interviews we've done with them, like there's no one I've met who's more outwardly thoughtful about the sport of professional wrestling than Sami Zayn. I think one of the first questions I asked him was if he had a philosophy about pro wrestling, and it like stopped him in his tracks. And then he was like, well, yes, I do. And he just started going. He's just the best in the ring, in character, and just like I said, like intellectually. Like there's just nothing, you can't beat Sami Zayn. I'm so glad that he won. I agree with you. I kind of wish he'd hung on to the belt. I would personally be more interested in a triple threat at SummerSlam with Sami Zayn going in. You know he's going to lose the belt. And the question is just, is it Cody or Punk who's going to win it? Those are some like, that's obvious, that's functional, that's practical stakes that I can get into, right? But all that said, I think most of the people like us who are complaining about it do not fully appreciate the CM Punk Chicago thing. Do not appreciate the response that he got last night. Nobody was booing CM Punk in the United Center, despite the fact that he just just took the title from like everybody's favorite underdog, right? CM Punk, who, according to my lore, and I'm just going to say this is WWE lore, CM Punk lives behind that garage door in the United Center. Like he's hornswoggled the entire United Center. This is where this dude lives. He wasn't booked. But thankfully the GMs were able to find him, or they knocked on the garage door. It rolls up, and CM Punk's like, "Yeah, I'm in my briefs already." Also, I will say, very minor thing: CM Punk, who's back in his first WWE run, was notorious for changing his look dramatically to signal something new about himself, was looking kind of different last night. He had his beard shaven down. He had his hair growing long, like. I'm not going to, like, if I had a full head of hair, you better believe it would be down to my butt. I mean, if I magically got it today. But if I were Punk, I might not have gone for, like, the, like, shaggy dad haircut or whatever. Like, maybe it's just, maybe just shave it again or do something, if you want to change it up, do something crazy. But anyway, he did look different. I don't know if this signals a big character change for him. He was cheesing a lot, as people would say, after winning, and maybe that's because he was happy and in Chicago, but I don't know. Looks like we're headed towards Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk for this title at SummerSlam, according to Bruce and his constant monitoring of the internet message boards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, that's what it looks like where this is going. But how do you feel about that for your SummerSlam co-main event?
Would it be mad if Sammy got into there somehow? Would it be mad if it turns into a triple threat?
And by the way,
somehow?
and Gunther, who is now somehow involved in this storyline. So I don't know what that's.
Well, I don't know if I want to see Gunther in that match. I want to see Gunther and Nick Aldis now. Like if Aldis is, getting physical and talking trash and saying he's a failed wrestler.
I agree. That's why I was surprised for Gunther to get involved in this other storyline and says, Sammy, like, I'm your problem now, So like he's doing a lot of stuff.
Right. So I don't know. I'm not necessarily sure if we're going to get Cody and Punk right away. It would make sense to get Cody and Punk right away, but I want to see Sami Zayn find his way in that match. Like, I just think for everything you just said about how thoughtful he is with pro wrestling, and even in these 9 days, how much he's sort of like milked literally one TV taping out of being champion. You know what I mean? By using social media and just trolling and the press stuff. And just selfishly, I still kind of want to see him and Roman Reigns like cross paths as world champions and just see the conversation that sort of comes from that, especially if it's if they're doing the Night of Champions sort of thing, or they're doing, well, not Night of Champions, but if they're doing like another champion versus champion match, I think Sammy as WWE champion and Roman as world champion is something I'm wildly interested in. But if we're doing Punk and Cody, nice little bookend from the last time we saw them, the day after WrestleMania, Monday Night Raw, and talking about a championship opportunity just falling out of the sky. You never know. And that's sort of exactly what happened with them. But I kind of felt like Cody and Punk was a WrestleMania main event, not a SummerSlam main event. I'm not mad at it, but I do think, 3 weeks, I'm sure they're going to make it super entertaining and super popping. But like, there's so much story to be unraveled between Punk and Cody. I'd like to see it be sort of like a WrestleMania runway and not necessarily a SummerSlam runway. That's in about 3 weeks from today.
I don't disagree with you kind of like intuitively, but I don't think that there's a ton of distinction between WrestleMania and SummerSlam in WWE's mind. And especially right now when you call it the summer of trying shit, I think that we're seeing the summer of like the summer of like pleasing the investors. I don't, it's not sure things across the board, but it's trying shit for the sake of boosting ratings, for the sake of people coming out. It's like calculated trying shit. And there's even some stuff like just maneuvering Cody and CM Punk into this main event that feels a lot to me like, let's just make sure that we sell all the tickets. Let's make sure that we get as many people watching this on ESPN as possible. Let's make sure our corporate partners are aware that we're trying shit, right? This is trying shit for all to see.
Yeah.
It does feel like there's a little like the ghost of Vince McMahon feels like it's haunting WWE a little bit right now. Like you can just, it's just like, if this were Vince McMahon in charge, people would be like, how much money did the Saudis pay Vince directly to have Sami Zayn win at Night of Champions, right? You'd be, or like, it's just, or Vince just like pop the crowd, just get the belt off that skinny guy by SummerSlam. That's all I can, Hey, Obafemi's going out there. Put him in something tribal. Get that normal shirt off of him, Make Maxine Dupree sexy. Can you make her sexy? It's a lot, but it's not bad ideas. It's just you can hear the voice of the ghost. There.
Not, I know someone's going to clip this and make this sound like the worst clip of all time, but
Bruce, that's you.
Maybe that's not the worst idea. There's definitely been a little bit of a tepid sort of trail off as far as interest in WWE, and TKO doesn't do itself any favors with a lot of the press that it's received just from some of your favorite wrestlers getting released, or just how or what the ESPN deals look like, or how good or well they're doing. It's like they're just. You remember when they would have like a lower third saying like the consecutive sellouts that they would have every show on Raw and SmackDown. Like, remember where every week they just were touting some like first time ever, largest ever success for like 2 years straight, 3 years straight. Whether we look at it, the best way or not, it just hasn't been that way in at least the past 8 to 10 months. I want to say, give or take. It just hasn't been that way. So if you got to go to old reliable, if you got to go to Punk, Cody, Roman, Seth to sell the second biggest show of the year, and oh, by the way, the first premium live event you have on American soil since WrestleMania, like, you're going to want to have the biggest show possible. So, maybe that is Vince thinking. Maybe it is like, I don't give a fuck what you do during the King of the Ring. Just make sure that these guys are your headliners going into the biggest show of the summer. So I don't know if that's necessarily the worst thing if quote unquote Vince type thinking is happening. There's
I don't think so either.
As much content has been on, like, things just haven't happened. Like, what's the last thing? This sounds so simple and stupid, but Dave, like, what's the last thing that happened in WWE that everyone was like, whoa, besides Sami winning the championship?
Well, I mean, this is not the right the right answer, but I think it proves your point. It probably is something with El Grande Americano.
I was going to say that.
But most of that happened in AAA, and as soon as it got back to WWE, it was like it was a fucking whoopee cushion.
Yeah.
God love Chad Gable, but to imagine that he's anywhere now close to where he was a month ago is bonkers, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, as soon as you try to tell the story on mainstream TV, on US, Monday Night Raw TV, it loses something. And I think that's the point. I'm just joking about the Vince stuff, but I do think that there's, in any creative endeavor, you should sit at some point when you're making your plans, you should sit there and say, what would X do right now? What would fill in the blank do right now? And consider that. I'm not saying they would do it better. I'm saying, like, you won't always have all the voices that you want, but you can always think through the different possibilities, the different opportunities that people would do. I have not thought deeply. I don't have some great theory about the Triple H booking situation and anything else. However, I do think that you lose something when you go all in on long-term storytelling. And I'm the biggest long-term storytelling mark there is. But I've been going back and watching a lot of old shit. I mean, a lot of the great long stories that we have in professional wrestling history were products of circumstance more than they were some like beautiful plan. I mean, Dusty Rhodes feuded with the Four Horsemen forever because like they were the only top guys they had, like, and Dusty was the booker for a lot of that. The fans loved Dusty, but like, it's almost like when you have a big match.
Yeah.
Let's say Cody versus Punk at SummerSlam.
Okay.
Maybe that's a one-off. Maybe they feud through WrestleMania. We don't know. You can have a plan for this match to lead to a 6-month feud or a 9-month feud or whatever. Or you can just kind of see what it feels like after the match. And I feel like a lot of the long feuds are really like, let's see what it feels like the day after. And it's like, you know what? We should just keep doing that. The crowd loved it, and like that's kind of the way that these things become long. If you just go for length for its own sake, you got a fucking 1,000-page novel that no one's going to read. It's just like, It doesn't, if it's just sort of boring. So
but you run the risk of burning through some of your great stuff. And then like in a month or two, you're like, oh gosh, maybe we should have not burned through that really awesome thing we had.
Listen, I don't disagree with you philosophically, but I think practically, maybe the thing that I've come to believe more than anything else in pro wrestling is you just fucking pull the trigger and you figure the rest out tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. When it comes to a bit, and I'm not saying you give away Cody versus CM Punk at like, in your house 3 or whatever, you make it a big moment. But if you got the match, put on the match. And then the stories that will evolve out of that match are probably, if you're doing your job right, better than what you had before you went into it. You have now maybe there's stories you couldn't tell because you just leapfrog 5 steps or whatever. But that's a small price to pay for keeping people in their seats. Putting butts in seats, as Mick Foley famously did when he was a transitional champ. But yeah, it's a complicated. I mean, it's not easy. I hope Sami doesn't go away from the main event scene. Although the last time he was this close, I mean, the last time he wasn't champ. But the last time he was nearly this close to the main event scene, they put him straight into a tag match with against the Usos alongside Kevin Owens. And that felt like enough. That felt like acceptable. So my guess is we'll get some sort of Sami Zayn. Some new version of that. It is sad that Kevin Owens wasn't there to powerbomb him.
I feel like that may be the thing that's gonna keep us going after this. Like Kevin Owens seemingly returning soon, or hopefully returning soon. That's a reason why you get the title off of Sami immediately. Like if you got Kevin back in the good graces and they're doing something either together or they're facing off against one another, that's one thing that I think keeps him in the main event and still keeps him interesting, and we're happy to see it. But where do you take Sami from here? Like, does he have a gripe at a rematch? He got beat fair and square.
I don't have any intel, but I think if Kevin Owens were close to coming back, then Kevin Owens would have done what would have been in the Gunther spot last night. Mm-hmm. Like, what wouldn't that have made so much more sense to have Kevin Owens congratulate his friend and powerbomb him, and that's the reason he lost the title to CM Punk?
Yeah, but they've done that before, so maybe they got something else.
On the main have they done it on the main roster?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
they've split up and stuff, but we haven't had the NXT moment on the main roster, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, listen, there's a lot you can do with it, and you're right, that would keep him near the top. Now, before we transition ourselves away from the transitional champ of the year, there was an interesting Kevin Nash podcast clip that's floating around. What's it called? cut.This or something? I literally don't know the name of the place.
Yeah.
That I think we have to address because, as podcasters, it's our job to co-stuff other people's, excitement, meminess. Bruce, do you have this quote or the clip from Kevin Nash pod?
The last time Sami Zayn was significantly in the wrestling news and I hate that my mind goes here. Someone might call me a cynic or worse, was in regards to the pay reductions, right? I don't know why his name landed more significantly than others, but his was one that was publicly reported, and a significant reduction of a nice salary. Am I wrong to connect any dots? Because they kind of made him when I say they, I mean the wrestling media, not WWE.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that he was reduced. So, I mean, I can't connect any dots because I don't have.
We didn't cover that here. Thought we talked.
Oh, I'd heard.
Right.
I mean, I'd heard that he was.
It was reported. Let's say that.
Yeah, it was reported, but that. Unless I see a contract where it's.
We don't know for sure, but it was reported, and it was.
Is this Bill Maher?
I think the awkwardness of that segment. I mean, I think the way a lot of people are hearing it is that the awkwardness of that segment boils down to Kevin Nash knowing exactly for a fact that Sami Zayn has taken a pay cut and being very uncomfortable about whether or not he's supposed to say it out loud, or thinking that maybe he told his co-host something in confidence and then it made it on the air. It's not. I mean, it was widely speculated that Sami Zayn was one of the people that took the pay cut when these things were going around. I think that I have not heard that. I could make a phone call today and find out. Frankly, the terms of people's contracts is not the most exciting thing in the world to me. When it comes to pro wrestling, we'll get in more to that later on. If my boss came to me and they said, "We love you, we want you to take a 25% pay cut," I think my reaction would be like, I'm going to die. I won't. I spend all my money every month. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
But I know. I mean, I can imagine a world where it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, like whatever. I like what I'm doing. Money doesn't mean anything to me right now because the amount of money these people are making, it's conceivable they could have enough put away that they don't. That like the monthly income is not a factor in their life. But the bigger question that is interesting to me is WWE rewarding Sami Zayn for taking the pay cut?
I absolutely hate that is a discussion topic with Sami, because every report that we've heard about these pay cuts were basically like, yo, if you're not the franchise player, if you're not the Romans, the Punks, the Codys, the Rhea Ripleys, if you're not in that level, group, you're not really making no real bread like that. Like that's why you hear about, a lot of folks that were main event guys, your Sheamuses, your New Days, your Braun Strowmans, like guys that you can conceivably believe made a lot of money for WWE at one point, but were clearly not being positioned like main eventers like they were anymore. And then now you're, if you were to believe that report and you were to believe the people who stayed along or didn't, renew their contract were the guys that were sort of in the middle, one could come to the conclusion that Sami Zayn could have been one of those guys, right? So I hate that now the discussion is, oh, well, thanks for taking one on the chin, champ. Here's this 9-day world championship run for you. And, because it turns into another story of how the big, bad, evil wrestling corporation treats its talent, and maybe a lot of that could be true. But I hate that that's the conversation around Sami.
Me too.
You know what I mean? Because
me too. And I guarantee if it were true, I'm not saying it is, that this is a reward for Sami Zayn, I guarantee it was never spoken out loud. Right. Even in the creative meeting, right? It's like maybe Triple H and Nick Khan whispered this to one another, but like this is not a conversation that anybody's having, so it's inherently speculative and sort of unnecessary to talk about. I do think there's a bigger conversation. Kudos to Sami Zayn in general. It isn't. I mean, I won't get into the dirt in this whole thing, but he deserved it. He deserved it. Not more than that. WWE needed it. Do you know how, regardless of Sami Zayn's involvement, Do you know how much more excited I am about CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes than I would have been absent this title swap? Like, just Sami Zayn spicing things up lets you think, maybe there's maybe it'll be a spicier SummerSlam than I was expecting. Maybe there's a lot of creative going that way.
I don't necessarily think Cody versus Punk needed the title right away. You know, I just can't shake the feeling of that last promo from the Raw after Mania, where, you know, this could have been a grudge match. This could have been, you know, something where Cody cost Punk the title or something like that, and you're gonna have a real grudge match between the two that didn't necessarily need a championship. But, you know, it is what it is, you know, and Punk being the world champion is never the worst thing. So
it is true. It does feel like we're sort of at capacity for two wrestlers have like a show of mutual respect / dislike that leads to a handshake, and maybe one of them sort of turn. It's a handshake that ends up with them facing each other, and maybe you were about to hit me and maybe you're not, and who knows our motivations going into SummerSlam, and then it's just basically a friendly, you know, like it's not like we've had too much of this. Let's just do something interesting. Creative team, ask yourself what Vince would have done. Just pick a person. What would they do? What would this dude on the street do right now? You know what would be interesting that we haven't seen before? What if Cody Rhodes and CM Punk don't interact between now and SummerSlam? It might be terrible, but I promise I've never seen it before, right? What if Cody's just like, I'm not talking to that dick, and that's it, you know? And then, like, that's all we get, you know? There's ways to do stuff that doesn't feel like it's so repetitive, even if it's just dumb ideas like the one I just had. But let's talk contracts. Sheamus. Friend of the show, Sheamus.
Friend of the show.
A man that we might have had drinks with at WrestleMania, and really dropped the ball on getting together with him post WrestleMania.
Well, he's out here. He's out in the city, so we could always go grab some beers with him, whatever.
I know. Well, we got to do it. Now he's got some time. Yeah. So word is that he's done with WWE. Are we waiting for the contract to expire? Is that what it is? Bruce is nodding. But that he was, so. But he was it's widely assumed at this point that he was approached to take a pay cut and presumably said no. With great restraint. I've not texted our mutual friends with Sheamus. I've not done the legwork here because, like I said, this doesn't interest me that much. But it is sad to see him go. Just the contract part of it. But it is incredibly interesting that he is just going to go, and that he's happy to go. I mean, willing to go, and everything else. Now, sure, there's going to be options out there for him. His old tag team partner Cesaro, aka Claudio Castagnoli, is working the world, man. He's out there wrestling. I don't know what Sheamus's spinal stenosis, if that even exists. I don't know how that. I don't know. Not that if spinal stenosis exists. I'm not a freaking denier of spine conditions. I mean, if I assume that is a fact. That Sheamus has a spine condition, but I actually don't have his medical chart in front of me, so I don't know. But if that is true, that might limit what he could do in, like, Japan. You know? I mean, I don't know how many, like, times you want to get dropped on your head with a spine condition. I mean, obviously it's a work rate thing, and I mean, a match style, a ring style kind of thing, not like he couldn't work. He's prohibited from working in Japan because of his medical condition. But I think there's going to be opportunities for him out there.
Absolutely. I mean, I've known Sheamus for a long time, Steven for a long time. Good dude. Just a real good dude, right? I'll never forget one of the conversations I had with him at SummerSlam in Nashville. Ran into each other at a Foot Locker, I think. I think I was doing a Foot Locker event with him. And, you know, he was just catching me up on stuff. And he was like, yo, man, like, back then, and this is what, 3 years ago now? I want to say 3 or 4 years ago. He just was telling me how beat up he felt and how he's just like, man, this might be it for me. Like, this might be my last little run because, you know, he was just in so much pain, like, all the time, like, just really walking gingerly. He hadn't been, you know,
no pun
on
intended.
TV as much at that time. He hadn't been on TV as much at that time, you know, but he was still sort of around. And I remember having that conversation. I'm like, damn, man, that's my guy. I hope he's doing all right. And then he goes on like this, and then that's when like the banger after banger sort of, you know, moniker starts to take off, where he's just like, all right, I'm just going to empty. Well, in my eyes, he looked like he's like, I'm just going to empty the clip and just have the best matches I could possibly have because this might be it. You know, like I feel good right now.
There's also, by the way, just total sidebar. Can I interrupt for 5 seconds?
Yeah, please.
I mean, there are a lot of people you would talk to in pro wrestling that would say that a brawling style is much better for longevity than like just a traditional, or that, especially a modern style, but even a traditional WWE style. Now, obviously, Sheamus wasn't strictly a punchy, kicky guy when he was in that banger after banger phase. But I think you can empty the clip and like suddenly find out the clip is way bigger than you thought it was. But go ahead.
And I think that's what we all saw. Like, I think he was emptying the clip and he was starting to get these standing ovations, like at the end of matches, like the matches with Gunther, the matches with Drew. I think Roman, did he get one with? I don't know if he got one with Roman, but you know, he had some great matches under his belt in this last sort of run. So, you know, I don't know if it's because like, you know, it's kind of different when you see these people and at least like know them somewhat. But I always think it's weird that like immediately when folks are like about to leave WWE, like we're automatically booking them in like the next most violent, most most physically demanding sort of type of wrestling that you could possibly have after having like a 2-decade plus career, like, you know, working like 200 days a year. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know if people are just willing to head out there. However, the wrestling economy is so much different, and guys like Sheamus don't need to work a WWE schedule to make a ton of money outside of WWE. We've seen a lot of people do it, and he's popular enough to do it. So whether it's AEW, whether it's AAA, whether it's, CMLL, whether it's New Japan, or, you know, that's rock steady, right? Like, that's, you know, or if it's Hollywood, or if you're just like, yeah, I'm just going to just lean into my cartoon bag and my voices and do all that type of stuff. Whatever Sheamus does after this, man, I just wish him the best of luck, bro. Like, I'm still a big fan of his, and if his body is holding up the way it looked like it's held up in the past couple of years, I'd love to see him continue to wrestle. But if not, man, totally get it. Totally get it. You've given the lots in these past like 20-something years, or almost 20 years.
Yeah, man. If he just does Celtic Workout full time, I think I'd be okay with that. Although,
I hope he didn't sell.
I mean, the best episode.
Did he sell it to him? Like, did he get
no
up,
did
down,
he?
down? I hope not. I hope he still got that YouTube page.
Well, he can start his own. I always think it's funny when people, you know, decide they're leaving WWE.
Oh my god.
No, but when people when people decide they're leaving WWE and they change their handle or they change their screen name to their real name, and that's how everybody knows, I get it. No one's going to ever turn their back on 500,000 Twitter followers, right? That's currency, and that really matters. But if it were me, I would make it look like I abandoned Sheamus WWE, and then I would start at Stephen Farrelly with 0 followers and just start shit talking my face off and let people find me. You know, like that would be interesting. Anyway,
just start it over. I think more than
Sheamus is gonna
more wrestlers than we know than they care to admit it do exactly that. Like, they already got their burners out there.
Yeah,
they just
burners. Yeah. Well, when people say burners, they think about the NBA, and I think that's significant in this conversation because all this contract stuff, asking people to take pay cuts, etc., seeing some of our favorite legendary wrestlers go bye-bye, it to me, that and the conversation about Jaylen Brown and the looming Giannis Antetokounmpo. I can't say his name. I can say it not on a podcast. You put a mic in front of my face, it's over. His looming extension, all this stuff. There's a very similar conversation here, right? Because the conversation around Jaylen Brown is no one thinks he's a bad player, but his contract makes him a toxic asset, right? And I think in a bigger, in a broader NBA sense, it's not Jaylen Brown. He's pretty freaking young. But it's the guys like Giannis who we're going to be paying, $75 million a year into, like, past the point where they're good, potentially. That's the real problem. The way that the salary cap in the NBA is structured right now is that you save your money for the oldest established stars, and those guys almost inevitably become toxic assets by year 2 of that contract, right? That's the way that it's built. It's a terrible system, but listen, the owners and the players all agreed to this, and for now, maybe that's the best idea they could come up with. WWE is a totally different situation because there's no collective bargaining agreement. This is just from on high. They're changing the deal, right? And part of changing, and they're not changing the deal. Everybody signed these contracts knowing the contracts could get torn up. But the idea that it's like, we want to keep you, but not the contract we signed before, is just, it sounds terrible to the average person. But to people who know a lot about how corporations work, how sports works, how this sort of level of business works, and how contracts work, it's even worse. I've got to tell you this. There's no happy landing. There's no better way to do this thing.
I was wondering how you were going to land that plane. I was like,
you thought I was going that way. Nah, I mean, listen. There was a tweet. Let me pull it up on my phone from Meltzer that Raj, formerly of Wrestling Inc., responded to. So the Meltzer tweet is, this is buried underneath the Paul Walker Hauser deletes Twitter tweet that I screen grabbed. Okay, so Dave Meltzer has explained TKO's rationale. This is from Wrestle Features, but this is from Dave Meltzer. This is not, they're just quoting it. The TKO thing, from talking to people there on this and other situations, they're very willing to pay really, really, really giant money to people who they perceive as the stars, like a sports team. But when it's older wrestlers who they perceive as being on their downside and have big contracts, they're very much like an NFL team that will go, rather than pay a giant salary who's on the downside, we would rather spend our resources on someone younger who we can also pay less to. And Raj responded, makes complete and total sense. Yes, I agree that makes complete and total sense. That's how you would like to allocate your money in some perfect world, right? But having a system that you would like is different than having a system where you are openly flouting the contractual terms that you agreed to. Again, everybody knew you could get cut. Everybody knows you can cut a wrestler. But if you say, I'm going to give you $1 million a year, and then 2 years in, you're like, what do you think about $250,000 a year? Or you're fired. That's just some bullshit. I don't care what the contract says. That's some fucking bullshit. You can't operate a business that way. And listen, it all seems very functional now because there's enough people out there who are like, Sami Zayn sucks. No one's freaking the fuck out. This is going to really matter because the logical conclusion to this system is, WWE signs Kenny Omega when he's a free agent. They sign, let's say his contract's up December 31st. They sign him on January 1st. He appears in the Royal Rumble. They set up the Royal Rumble match between him and Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins or Cody Rhodes or CM Punk, whatever the dream match is. And then Kenny Omega breaks his spine and can't wrestle, and WWE cuts him the next day. We signed you to a $10 million deal. You've so far made $10,000 of it. You're fucking out the door. I hope you didn't burn any bridges on your way out of AEW. Right? That's when it's going to really matter because WWE's going to say, we paid our money for this thing. We wanted you to main event this match and decided it was worth $5 million, $10 million to us. You couldn't do it. See you later. That's when people are going to lose their fucking minds. But that's no different than what's going on now. Right? I mean, it's exactly the same thing. And it's not, and to the point I was making earlier, Raj is right. WWE is right. It does make sense. The NBA teams who were like, I don't want to fucking pay Jaylen Brown $250 million. Everybody would like to pay Jaylen Brown $1. Your team would be better if he was playing for $1.
Mm-hmm.
But actually it wouldn't work because there's a minimum. There's a veteran's minimum contract. There's a minimum salary in the WWE. I mean, in the NBA that doesn't appear in WWE or anywhere else.
Yeah.
That's collectively bargained. But yes, we would all like to pay less. But also, we would like to be known as people who, if we were talking about likes, we would, fantasy land here, we would like to be known as people who live up to the terms of contracts that we sign.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no way to spin this that doesn't make WWE and TKO look like some bullshitters, right? Like there's no other way around it. It's when you are in the business of show or sport, you will almost never find me on the side of the establishment. I'm always going to be pro player. I'm always going to be pro wrestler. I'm always going to be pro talent in almost every situation. There's no way you're going to tell me that you signed me for this amount of dollars or this amount of money and you're not going to honor that contract without, me fighting for it, right? Like I've been in situations like that, like where, I worked at places and, the companies wanted to revise my contract or change the terms of it. And if you're doing that at any level of any company, you suck. Like, I understand you're probably super successful, and at the end of the day, as long as your numbers are in the black and not in the red, like, you've done a good job. You can give yourself bonuses and raises and all that type of stuff. And that's how capitalism works. And in America, that's what this entire country is run on. I could still say it sucks. Like, I could still say when people are legitimately like hurting themselves to entertain you, and the least you can do is honor the words on the piece of paper to properly and fairly compensate the person that they legally negotiated for. It's whack. And of course, seeing it in the NFL, seeing players have to get their contracts restructured. See it in the NBA now, where folks don't, there's this whole second apron thing where if you're an owner and this private equity is buying the Boston Celtics or buying the Dallas Mavericks, and their main objective is get me in the black, so I don't want to pay Luka Doncic $250 million. I don't want to pay Jaylen Brown $300-something million. I get it. It still sucks. It's still whack. And, it could be Sheamus. It could be the New Day. It could be fucking anybody that's a wrestler like that. You ask them to take a pay cut, you're just whack to me. There's no way around it. I'll understand it. I get it. That's how corporations work. You're still whack for it.
And for all those making, equivalencies in their head, there is a world of difference between the Bret Hart situation, if we take it at face value, and really we don't have any reason not to, and this one. When Bret Hart signed a 10-year, $10 million deal, and Vince McMahon said, actually, we can't afford to pay you that. Let's figure out a way to get you to WCW. The WWE, pretty much everyone agrees that WWE would have been in a dire financial situation if forced to pay out that contract. Mm-hmm. You can take exception to that, but at least that's the narrative there. There's no dire financial situation here. NBA teams and NFL teams can't wake up one day and just be like, you know what? I have a new philosophy about players and contract signings, so let's make our current ones all magically disappear, or magically change into this new format. No, you signed a contract, right? And again, for the millionth time, yes, everybody that signed these WWE contracts knew that they were quittable on WWE's side, right? So it's all. So legally, I'm not making any legal case. Clearly, they can do what they want. But when you talk about the money, all of the money that they could have saved, or they did save, it's unclear how much. I guess if you're saving a lot of money on Sheamus and the New Day now because you're not paying them at all. But all the money there was to save on Sheamus, the New Day, everybody else that you think could have possibly, every contract that they could have tried to negotiate down, is a vanishingly small amount of money compared to how much money this company makes, right? Nick Khan got $10 million in bonuses in calendar year 2025. I don't even think we're there in terms of savings. We might be close to it. We don't know how much people have. By the way, love Nick Khan. Always had great interactions with Nick Khan.
Nick Khan.
According to public reporting, part of that large bonus is tied to the EBITDA of the company, right? So he might have gotten a $7 million bonus based on cutting other people's contracts. That's where that money really, when you put putting in the P&L and you're trying to figure out what your EBITDA is for the year, that's where it actually matters, because the difference, because like $1 million in a multi-billion dollar company in TKO does not matter a whole lot, right? It's like I said, vanishingly small when you actually are doing the math. Not that it's real money for real people, but you can make $1 million could make a huge percentile difference in your company's EBITDA, and that could make you $5 million in a bonus, right? Do you really want to have a company to position where if the CEO, an entertainment company, where if the CEO decides realizes that if he just cuts Chad Gable tomorrow, he can make $5 million, what is any human being going to do? They're going to cut the fuck out of Chad Gable. Go back to Mexico, you freak. Nobody likes your short ass here. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. But this is the way, again, that companies work.
I just picture that Scarface meme when they're just lifting up the phone, just saying, ha 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 ha.
Yes, exactly.
And, the freaking money counters going up and shit. It's like, yeah, listen, that's how the game goes, man. Unfortunately, that's how the game goes. Anytime you hear about some massive layoffs at Amazon or Nike or whatever big company, it usually comes like a week or two or a month or two after you hear about somebody at the very tippity top getting a raise, an extension, or a bonus. You know what I mean? It's not rocket science to figure out, you know? And at the end of the day, them folks just want to stay in the black by any means necessary. And it sucks.
What I'm saying is they live in the
friends.
black. They live. There's so many ways this could go. This is the blackest living situation you can imagine. This side of 227, what? Come on.
The kids don't watch 227. They don't.
The greatest top
We're
three
right here with it.
Top three theme song of all time, and sung by the irrepressible Marla Gibbs.
Quietly, one of the best spin-offs. Did it spin off? Wait,
no, it was not a spin-off. It was the same. I don't think so.
The show
it was
spun off of 227 though. Hold on, I feel like a popular show.
Jack A. Her show.
I guess.
I don't think that was a 227 spinoff. 227 was definitely not a Jefferson spinoff, was it?
So my dumbass. So I thought it went All in the Family, the Jeffersons, 227. I thought the Jeffersons and 227 was a spinoff of each other. That's my bad.
I think most people did. I think the vast majority of people, because it was immediately thereafter. It must have been the next season. It's just like, shit, Jefferson's gone. What do we do? Let's give Marla Gibbs some work. You know, like whatever.
Right. Shout out to Jackie Harry, bro. Legend.
Jackie Harry. Was she hot? She was never hot to me, but was she hot?
She's kind of hot. Like, she's definitely like, you see some old pictures of Jackie, like in her prime, you'd be like, yep, I get it. Like, she definitely had Lionel Richie doing circles.
You're right.
You know what I mean? Like,
she
1,000,000% had the Showtime Lakers in the tizzy. Like 1,000,000% like James Worthy.
Because she does kind of look like Lionel Richie. By the way, speaking of the Jeffersons, Isabel Sanford, who played Wheezy, was a Barry Bloom client. I'm just going to leave that there.
Nice. Shout out to Barry Bloom. Oh my gosh. So, see, I just had to Google pictures of Jackie Harry when she was younger. 1,000,000% Jet Beauty of the Week material. Like, she definitely could have bagged a Laker in her day. Absolutely.
There is a huge number of these women who were not attractive to me as a child because they were targeted at 45-year-old me.
Yeah.
And now I go back and I'm just like,
I was a
what?
Kid.
Yeah.
They're already old to me when I was a child. So now when I look back at them with grown man eyes, I'm like, yo, Betty White, you had it going on back in your day. Have you seen young Betty White?
Betty White had a fucking... She had a white afro from the age of 35. Like, what are you talking about?
Go look at young Betty White and go look at young Martha Stewart. And don't think just because you were introduced to them when they were already old, that in their prime, they was shaking up the what was it? The Mac, where they party at Happy Days? What's the name of the shit? Archie's?
At the I don't know. I never really watched Archie's. I mean, watched that show.
You didn't watch wherever they hung out on Happy Days, you know, they had that place shook the fuck up. It's like, yo,
Betty White, credit to her. But I watched Betty White my whole life and never saw this Betty. I mean, this is way past my time. And I'm old.
Man. I get it.
So the question that we're trying to get to now is, it's season 4 of 227.
Mm-mm.
Jackie Harry is not the heartthrob that she once was, but she's making $5 million a year. We can fire her, but like, still, most people are tuning into 227 expecting to see Jackie Harry. Yeah,
people still love Jackie Harry. Absolutely.
What was her little catchphrase? She'd be like, "Ugh," or just like some noise. She had a noise. Yeah. Oh my God! Can we have a 227 podcast, Bruce? Can you run that up the flagpole? The 227 rewatch. Okay, good. He's not.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Seriously.
Okay.
Great song. Great theme song. But can we fire her? I mean, do we straight up fire her, or do we just like, no, that would be a really dumb thing to do, because now everybody that we ever try to hire is going to be like, why would I take that contract? Because I know you're just going to ignore it when it doesn't suit your purposes. Mm-hmm. Now, WWE has a different situation. It would be like if 227 was the only fucking show on TV. right? If there was 2 shows, one of them way bigger than the other show, and the big show was just like, hey, we're tearing up contracts left and right, they would have the power to do that because there's not a lot of negotiating power. But there's something, I guess there's a lot, we can talk a lot about this. We can talk around in circles. It's a moral thing. There'll definitely be people listening to this who are just all on just like, yeah, why wouldn't you want to do that? You should want to do that. Let the fucking contracts play out and then say, hey, Sheamus, just a heads up, you got 2 years left on your deal. We have a new system here. All right? The legends, the living legends should be their own category. We don't think you're going to be in a main eventer at the age of 55. So we're going to offer you a lower deal, take it or leave it, but not let's tear up the contract. You don't have to tear up a contract to renegotiate at WWE. You could just sign a new contract and continue to pay them what you've agreed to pay them. You don't want, by saying, will you take a pay cut, you're implicitly saying we don't want you to leave. Well, guess what? There's a way to make them not leave. Continue to abide by the terms of the contract that you signed. Like, it's really not complicated. You know? You know, they should leak a story that Danhausen's making $12 million a year or something just to say, if you want to be mad at the little dude with the makeup. Don't be mad at me. You know?
And, honestly, at this rate, I'd love to see his merchandising check at the end of his first year in WWE. He might be in that. He might be in that neighborhood. Like, he might be in the tens of millions neighborhood. Like, strictly off
We're really in... But all of these conversations about contracts get into a Vince McMahon sort of territory. Like you know, his ghost is still lingering there because the industry, and Vince McMahon was a large part of that, was based on this obscure, this arcane system of bonuses and merch sale numbers. Now, a lot of people would say in a meritocracy, the merch sale numbers are a good way to do business, and I wouldn't totally disagree. Right? It's like everybody makes a base salary of $250,000. And then you get 35% of your merch sales or something wacky like that, you know? So it's like the baseline people are making $300,000 and the John Cena's of the world are making $50 million. Like, that sounds fine, right? Because again, WWE doesn't have a vested interest at that point on who's getting TV time, on who's getting over, except doing the things that work. Because they're losing. They're paying wrestlers the same amount of money no matter what. That would make some sense to me. But Vince McMahon, the other part of Vince McMahon's system was the pay-per-view payoffs, right? Where you would like come back in after the main event at fucking SummerSlam, and Vince would say, "Great job, Kaz," and like hand you a little envelope, and it would have like $15K in it, and he'd be like, "Holy shit! I know I was expecting some money, but I'm getting that pool. Like, let's go." But then he would hand a much bigger envelope to the next guy that came down. And then Hulk Hogan comes down the aisle, and Vince is like, "I apologize, Mr. Hogan. I could not find an envelope big enough. Please accept this Brinks truck." But there were so many stories about guys who were like King Kong Bundys and guys who were like, "I got a $10,000 bonus. Hogan got an $80,000 bonus, and guess what? It was fair." You know, like you know, and that's the and listen. At least with that way, you're not going back on your word. You're like, you are like serving at my beck and call, but you are, but I'm not but we're not like, we're not going off the rail. We're not going off the terms of the contract. WWE has a lot of options, but really this all boils down to one thing. Are you going to live up to the contract that you signed? Right? Like they've chosen not to. I know that they can cut. I know that the contract says they can tear it up at any time. Guess what? Like, you could, like, I can get out of a contract too. I just have to die. Like, whatever. Like, it's, you know, there's ways around every deal, but they're not. Why is the question? Like, why would you want to do that? Because you want to be more like UFC. We're seeing how it works there. And that's not the kind of corporate synergy we were talking about. You know, talk about the NFL, talk about the NBA. Again, if you're going to make parallels to other professional sports, know that NBA players make 50% of league revenue. That's why the contracts are so high. Contracts are based on a percentage of the previous year's league revenue. And the NBA players get 50% of it. What percentage do wrestlers get? What did we figure out? Was it 10? If 10? That? Do they make 10% of WWE's annual revenue? Bruce is doing this kind of sort of hand gesture. We're around there. Yeah. NBA players make 50%. You know, I mean, and in a lot of ways, the vast majority of those players are more replaceable than most of the wrestlers that we watch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so anyway, Sheamus, there's a lot of opportunities out there. He's going to be fun. I'm actually excited to see what he's going to do. I think the craziest thing about Sheamus, and I think a lot of people know this, is that he's like the coolest dude ever. You know, like you would enjoy watching him on TV for an hour a week. He's a fucking great guy, and he's charismatic and everything else. What do you think about Sheamus's career in WWE, Kaz? Is there a timeline where it's a lot bigger, better, more memorable, more historic than it was?
I think his career has been pretty big. I mean, you got to remember, this guy beat John Cena and became WWE champion, less than a year into his main roster career? And he's always floated near or at the top of the card, wherever he was, multiple time U.S. champion, multiple time world champion, tag team champion, some classics under his belt, like some great matches. And he's been in WWE for dumb long. Like, I don't know if he's necessarily like ruthless aggression era. I guess he kind of is like top of the PG era, like literally as Cena's starting to really like get his legs as like, okay, this is our Hulk Hogan. Like Sheamus was right there. You know what I mean? So
Sheamus was who was Sheamus in that? Was he the Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff of this equation?
That's a pretty good comp, not gonna lie. But he's had a long ass career, and he's done a lot in WWE. You know what I'm saying?
Can I say one thing? And I don't know. We've established that you and I know Sheamus a little bit. That I've never said anything like this to him, and would never say anything like this to him. So I hope the guy doesn't listen to the show. Okay, but this isn't a knock on him necessarily. I think that that from the very beginning, he was just it was too cartoony. I don't know anybody in my lifetime of professional wrestling where I spent more time rolling my eyes at his hair/facial hair combination. When he had a full beard, when he had the fucking beard and mohawk, dude, give me that all day long. Or just some simple
about the bar.
Yeah,
the
bar look, or just but in I mean, the mohawk's a little bit it's untenable. It's hard to keep a mohawk up when you're sweating profusely or whatever. I get that, but like there's so many things that Sheamus could have done. He's got a great head of hair and a great beard. He could have done so much more interesting stuff than just. That was the worst part of when he made his last comeback and he was a little bit overweight and whatever else. It was he had like the pencil thin version of the original Sheamus, the handlebars that go into the lamb chops that go into the spike.
Mm-hmm.
To me, if Sheamus hadn't had the facial hair situation, he would have ended up being a bigger wrestler. I feel like he's just too much of a cartoon. But that's not on him. That's more like on the on the creative. It's just like not in being content with what they had with Sheamus. Do you know what I mean? Does the facial hair connection make sense there? It's not worth going to Sheamus and say, hey, let's try the beard. The full beard, because you're doing fine. You're making your money with Sheamus. That contract's above water. And we don't really want to have another guy, at the top that we have to worry about, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of but anyway, I think that there's a world in which he's a much bigger deal. And I especially think, I know he's all beat up now, but I think that the banger after banger era Sheamus, I think they left a lot on the table there, because I think there's a sense where like in the ruthless aggression PG era, Sheamus he fit better, but he was sort of unexciting compared to some of the other stars. What excites
how much
you are
bigger
the
did
outlaw.
you want him to be?
No, but I'm just saying there's a better career. Like he had the title. I don't think anybody thinks of him as a world champion. He's not.
I do.
He's in the same category that
I think if
he's not even at Drew McIntyre. He's in the same category as Damian Priest if Damian Priest retired tomorrow.
Damn, word? That's tough. I mean,
no, in terms of championshipness.
He beat John Cena and he beat Roman Reigns for world titles. How many people could say that? Not a lot of people could say that.
No, that's true.
And
that's true.
On top of that, Sheamus, he held like I'm more.
No,
you're right.
You're
more
right.
for holding world
Priest.
champions than like the mid card time. Like I don't necessarily think him, even though like he's a top of the mid card guy. I don't necessarily think of him as like a mid card guy. Like when I think of mid card guys, I think of guys like Rick Rude and Mr. Perfect and
No, both of those guys should have been world champion. Hulk Hogan held them down.
But they weren't, right? Like at the end of the day, like when I picture Mr. Perfect and Rick Rude in my head, I picture the Intercontinental title around their waist.
Okay,
That's what I picture. When I think of Sheamus, I think of him holding the spinner belt, holding the big gold. He got the whole big gold. Not a lot of people.
Big gold is the look that makes the most sense with him. I'm not going to argue this point because I'm wrong, but the point I'm trying to say is, I think the point that really matters for this conversation is, I think that there is a world in which he does better. But the point the point I was trying to make is in the PG era, he was sort of one of the dudes. Right? He fit. He was the same set of action figures as Roman Reigns and John Cena. Early Roman, but like peak Cena. Now I think that there's more opportunity for him in the modern era because he's the interesting other. Right? He's the toy that doesn't match the rest of the set. And so every match that he's in is intriguing. Right? Theoretically. It's just like if he's in peak shape, if he's no injuries, I don't want to wish anything about anybody. I'm way more interested today in Sheamus versus like Javon Evans. Same as Sheamus versus fucking Seth Rollins again. Sheamus versus there's so many people where it's like, this is intriguing because I don't know. Sheamus doesn't fit supernaturally. I just think that there's opportunity. And I think letting him go is, especially when he's been out hurt, it's just such a bonkers decision. It's such a bonkers decision. By the way, you mentioned Braun Strowman, who has been out there talking shit about WWE on Twitter, not the burner account, on the real one. How is WWE not looking at Braun Strowman and being like, shit, that's money we could have been making. It's our star on our network coming on right after our show. Why is that not our cash? Right?
Fuck their cash. You kidding me? They make
enough. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But how is WWE not see that and be like, oh, let's keep Sheamus around. Let's try to do something with him. They should be coming up with those fucking shows.
Yeah,
that's the failure of imagination. You signed a contract that we're not going to live up to because we just want the cash. Well, here's some other ways you can make. Oh, fuck it. I just want the EBITDA to go down, you motherfuckers. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Anyway. I'm getting too worked up, guys.
It's all good, bro. Braun Strowman.
I'm moving right now. Can you not tell? I'm wearing my British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith t-shirt. Talk about
I can tell you're on your last piece of furniture and clothing. So we should probably
last
this.
Shirt.
And apparently Messi just scored and just freaking won the game in extra time. Messi just did some. I just see my entire timeline. I just say, "Oh my God, Messi!" So I must.
Who's the Messi crazy. Of pro wrestling?
Oh gosh, the Messi of pro wrestling.
I think it's Kenny Omega.
It's a good one
because a huge part of it is everybody is aware of Messi now, but 5 years ago, a lot of people there were a ton of people who didn't know who the hell that guy was, and I think it's the same for Kenny Omega.
Nah, I still think people knew who Messi and Kenny Omega were 5 years ago.
No,
I'm saying in the level of
when
greatness, who's the guy who's been doing it at the highest level for the longest time right now? Man,
Brock Lesnar. I'm just trying to fuck with you right now.
I don't know. I almost probably if John Cena winning the world title last year before the title reign we got, I would have said Messi. Messi and Cena are in the same, level of greatness, longevity.
We're gonna do the GOAT rankings because your John Cena love just continues to. I thought maybe it was because John Cena was on his retirement tour. Maybe it was because
his greatness is only magnified in his absence.
Yeah, man. I would not say John Cena was a big game player, but maybe I'm just crazy.
He was the biggest game player. They call him Big Match John for nothing.
I think that's it, though. We'll be back later in the week, move permitting, to discuss this stuff more, but I knew that was all we were going to talk about. Congratulations, by the way, to Seth Rollins. A wonderful human being and even better professional wrestler. I'm glad that he's going to square off in the main event against Roman Reigns. Congratulations to CM Punk, Cody Rhodes. You get those spots too. SummerSlam is going to be a big one, dudes. Kaz, you want to get some plugs in?
Yeah, man. Catch your mornings and Romero every morning, Monday through Friday, Hot 97 from 6 to 10 a.m. Catch the brand new episode at 7 p.m. in Brooklyn. That's out right now with T.I. and Nigel Sylvester. We got a nice little double dip for you guys. Also, 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, live from the block, sold out in minutes. Red Hook, Brooklyn, July 17th from 4 to 8. Doing a live show with myself, Carmelo Anthony, Monica McNutt, the Kid Mero. Very, very
Is that a Fanatics Fest?
No, it's right after Fanatics Fest, so it's around the same time. So we're from 4 to 8. I think Fanatics Fest ends around like 4:30 that Friday. So we're throwing a block party in Red Hook. It's gonna be awesome.
I'll be there.
Through. We got some very special guests coming through. It's gonna be very fun. I'll make sure you're on the list, Dave. Make sure everybody's on the list wants to come by. But the rest of you guys, get the tickets on the link. I think it's sold out already, but Dave, you special, so I'll make sure you get them through. And then God, what else? I think that's it. I feel like there was something else I was supposed to plug that I'm forgetting, but it's all good.
Thank you all wait, how do I do this thing? I'm so out of practice. Thank you to producer Bruce Baldwin. Thanks to our EP Ben Cruz. Thank you, Kaz. Oh, and thank you all for listening. We'll be back, like I said, later this week. And until then, I still don't have a thing to say. You know what I should say? There's no place like home.
There's no place like home.
No, we got this.
Place like home. With your family around you, you're never alone. When you know that you love, you know.
I'll see you back here later this week, humanoids.